Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Richest Men in Town podcast. I'm Mike Freeman, and along with my good friend and co-host Tyler Gould, we're excited to welcome you to our little podcast project. Tyler and I are just a couple of middle-aged husbands and dads driven to live our best lives. We want to be better every day, so here we'll be sitting down with great people. Not famous people, but great people that we admire, to learn their secret to living the rich life. Probably not the rich life you're thinking of. Our guests come in humbled and surprised at the invitation and hopefully leave feeling proud and grateful, realizing just how good they really have it. So pull up a chair, stay a while, and raise a glass with us as we toast our guests to the richest men in town. So Tyler, I gotta know something about you, right?
Yeah.
Are you a make the bed guy?
So you know that there's a clip of this.
Oh yeah,
the Admiral, right? You want to change the world, you make your bed. Let me just say this: the world's not changing very quickly.
Tyler Gould you don't make your bed.
Well, here's the thing.
Walk me through this, dude.
I'm up at 5 a.m. Okay, my house is dead asleep. My wife is still in that bed, and so. But generally, I try to vacate the room as quickly and as quietly as humanly possible so as not to disturb the sleeping beauty at my side.
A smart move. So does Miss Ricky make the bed, or is this getting too personal?
No. The bed is made.
Okay.
Yeah. Ricky is changing the world. I am escaping from that.
Okay, I'll see your Admiral clip, but really, like, if you want to change the world, where are you at with folding your laundry on laundry night?
Oh, first of all,
does that happen?
Yeah, it does. I hate folding
on laundry night.
Typically, I like to get right after it, man. But there are times where that laundry. One of the things I hate most in the world is walking over to the clean laundry that hasn't been folded and digging. Like that just drives me nuts, dude.
That's awful.
I can't hardly, when I say it, it makes me angry. Like I can't hardly do it. So,
well, laundry night in the Freeman home is Monday night, right? And usually it goes something like watch The Bachelor, fold the laundry.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's what happens.
That's what happens. But then now that Grace is doing the MTC thing, The Bachelor's not happening. Come on.
Yeah.
You can't watch The Bachelor. You can watch The Bachelor and have a missionary in your house, right?
Yeah. I mean, I would assume that.
I mean, it was fantasy suite night, Monday night, right? You're not doing that.
Hey, for the record, I think I've seen all of maybe 3 episodes of The Bachelor.
What?
Yeah.
I would go on record and say I'm a closet fan, but everybody that is, I'm a fan.
It's a strange thing, and I think there was like a time in recent history where there was multiple shows where people were either getting hitched or trying to through some sort of like game show, right? Like The Bachelor is basically a game show, is it not?
Oh yeah, it's like the best game show ever. Well, Wheel of Fortune. Well, Jeopardy. Come on, rest in peace, Alex. Can we talk about what went down yesterday?
What went down yesterday?
Julie Johnston from Encinitas. Shout out to you. She sent me baked bear from SoCal up to NorCal. Dry ice, frozen solid ice cream with cookies. Last night, I had a baked bear ice cream sandwich in Redding, California, like I was on the pier.
That is pretty amazing. And let me ask you
like this. I was on the PB pier, hanging out with the Goulds.
How long have you known Julie Johnston?
A month.
Okay. See, this is where you've known Julie Johnston a month, and she sends you PB baked bear.
Oh, because it comes up.
I've known the Freemans for years, and I live miles from the baked bear, and I've never sent you.
That thought actually occurred to me on the second bite. I was like, wait a minute. This could have happened at any point. A birthday,
Yeah, it's
right?
true. It's
A
very
celebrate,
true.
any kind of celebration, any kind of just in general. Hey, Freeman's missing you guys. Thinking about you. Here's some baked bear. That could have happened.
Now, for the record, I think I mentioned this to you last night. I was amazed at the advancements we've made in the ability to ship things. I didn't realize we could ship ice cream and it would just be fine. So that's I'm blaming it on my ignorance of shipping protocol.
Yeah, well, but on the inside page of my planner, I'm not a monk journal. How's that going?
I dig it. I'm having a good time with it.
The inside of my journal doesn't say it's not a monk journal, but it says our trouble is not ignorance, but inaction. From Dale Carnegie.
I like that.
That's what I look at every morning, right?
Yeah.
You would think it would kick me in the butt and I'd do some stuff.
So
struggle is real.
You posted the other day in the town, right?
Oh, town. We got stuff to talk about.
Yeah. So
the stuff is kind of blowing up.
Yeah, we'll let people in on it, and we will invite people to join the town, right? We have a private Facebook group for those that are looking for opportunities to interact with each other and with us about different topics. And you had posted the other day in the town, kind of threw out a challenge. Now, I'll admit I haven't jumped on that yet because I'm sort of stumped. The list of things that I'm terrible at are lengthy, but you threw out a challenge that 31 days, you do something and you do it for 31 days straight and you track your improvement. Is that sort of the gist of the challenge?
Yeah. So shout out to Austin Cleon, man. Austin Cleon, I'd love to have you on Richest Men in Town. Austin Cleon is an artist. He's an author. Steal like an artist. Keep going. Cool work. I subscribe to his weekly newsletter, 10 Things, and he's thrown this out a couple of times. It's basically it's a suck less challenge.
Okay.
And the idea is pick something you're not good at, attack it for 31 days, and guess what? Over time, you actually develop a talent or a skill, and you suck less. So I would invite all of our listeners. 31 days. The PDF is on our town. I think we do need to get into, as people are listening, why we have that town, right? Why we've done that Facebook page. But yeah, the PDF is there, but it doesn't take a rocket scientist, right? Track it, 31 days. My challenge. So on my mission, I had a companion. He was a Canadian hockey player.
Okay.
Daniel Beekman Hoofnagel. Where do you have, brother?
That sounds really Canadian, man.
Yeah, he's in Alberta, Canada. He was a hockey player and he was in great shape. I obviously had been out on the mission for a little bit. I was not in great shape. He's like, let's skip rope. And I'm like
double Dutch.
Like double Dutch?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And sing some songs and clap hands.
Right. Cinderella.
And he kind of laughed at that. And he's like, yeah, that's fine. Here's the thing. 5,000 skips. 5,000 skips or 15 minutes, whichever comes first.
What came first, by the way? I'm curious.
15 minutes. 15 minutes, right? But I was with him for a little bit, and that did something. As far as fitness. So here I'm thinking my daughter's going to Philadelphia next week. Next week, brother.
That's crazy. Yeah.
Oof. Don't want to talk about that, right?
That
I think of
hurts
Russ
my heart a
Hill,
little bit. Yeah.
right? Russ Hill, longest walk, all that.
Yeah. It's hurting my heart. Just keep going.
No.
Keep moving.
Yeah. But she's heading off to Philadelphia. So I was like, okay, what can I do? Because I was looking for value added, right?
Mm-hmm.
What can I do that will maybe slim me down? And I was like, you know what? Rocky Balboa, Philadelphia legend.
Mm-hmm.
He skipped rope, made me think of Elder Daniel Beekman Hoofnagel. Let's skip some rope. So for 31 days, I'm on a rope and I'm trying.
So when did the 31 days start?
Today.
And so you've already knocked out some time.
Today was brutal.
Yeah, I bet.
Brutal, right? Because I'm throwing 229.3 up and down every time I jump that rope.
Yeah, you better put on the old shock absorbers on the heels. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Or sign up for some arthritis medication or some knee surgery or something, right?
Yeah.
But yeah. So we're
I like that, man.
We're doing it.
I like that. I am going to participate, but I need to give it some good thought as to what that thing will be for me.
Well, it's interesting that you're talking about giving it some thought, because that post sat unpublished for 2 days because I was like, what am I going to commit to? Right. Not that I don't have things I'm terrible at, but I mean, I don't necessarily have this burning desire to draw.
Right. Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
To paint or something.
The hunger to get better at something.
Yeah. Although those are hobbies and those are all things that are going to add value to your life. I'm a fat guy trying to get skinny. So I was thinking, okay, maybe I can tie it to fitness somehow. So boom, here we go.
No, I like that, man. That's a cool thing. So I'm going to jump on that. I will post something. I will post my response. I've been thinking about it. I just haven't come up with something good yet.
Well, I can give you my plan Bs, right? My next 31 challenge is going to be flossing. Hey, so Tyler, why the town? Why the Facebook thing?
Yeah, we've talked a lot about this over the last several months. Just, we've been really lucky to spend time with some really, really amazing people and hear their stories. And I think, one of the things, Mike, that you and I think we can agree on, especially as we've gotten deeper into our project, Richest Men in Town, is that everybody's got a really interesting story and everybody has some experiences that they can share and help other people out. And so the town was really a forum so we can invite people to come in and just help each other, lift each other, laugh with each other, and just have a good time. And we just started it, so it's really new, but it's already been super rewarding to be a part of.
Yeah. So I'm thinking of some of the traffic that I've been a part of in that. And really, the podcast is an amazing thing. It's an amazing experience, but it's an amazing thing that happens every Monday at 6. And life happens every day, 24/7. So the thought of that town is that community that extends beyond the podcast experience, right? We connect with some of the people that we have had on the podcast, but we're also bringing people in on that interaction. I love the idea of, like, you threw out a book and it's like, hey, Richest Men in Town folks. Hey, folks in the town, what are you reading? Right. And people are just dropping some things. By the way, I'm in between books, man. I'm like, I'm at that. It's an exciting thing where I've got a stack of books and I'm considering what's the next one to go with. Your title, man, Peace Giver.
Yeah. Oof. You've read that, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Great title. That's actually in the pile.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I mean, it was a great conversation. I think that the idea is that as that picks up some momentum, that'll be a cool outlet just to kind of provide that inspiration and encouragement every day.
Yeah.
So how do people join that?
Yeah, I'm glad you asked that question, Mike, because and all kidding aside, I do want people to be able to find that, because there's a lot of value there. But they can go to our website, richestmenintown.com, and on the right-hand side, there's a banner there for the town. They can click on that and it'll take them there, and they can just request to join. And we'll bring them in. So, and
I would throw that out there too, as far as folks that want to interact with us.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, obviously we've had interaction with our guests, but there may be some folks out there, Dublin, Ireland, that are dying to interact with us or ask us questions. And, the town offers that opportunity to, engage in a way that the podcast doesn't. But on that note, we are coming up on a milestone of sorts. We recently passed 10,000 downloads, and actually, with the traffic we've had of recent episodes, we're already over 11,000 downloads. But we're coming up on episode 50. And with episode 50, man, I would love to be able to have some of that interaction as far as guests or listeners asking us questions, and maybe we can incorporate some Q&A.
Yeah, that'd be a ton of fun. That would be a ton of fun. And I would, I'd encourage people that are listening as well, if they know someone that they think would be a good candidate that they'd like to hear on the Richest Men in Town podcast, drop us a note. This podcast, we've had a Morgan Jones on the show. We've had Russ Hill. We've had some people that have some resumes, and Gary Miller, but we certainly, we value our conversations with all of our guests, whether they think that they have anything to offer. I think one of the interesting things, one of the common comments we get when we reach out, or when our friend Wes reaches out to our future guests, is, why me? I don't think I have a whole lot to offer. And I hope that over the last 40 some episodes that people see that, boy, these people that they don't know have a lot to offer. And so it's exciting to kind of for us to be able to create different venues where we can have these people together and we can just continue to learn from each other outside of just the podcast.
Yeah, I'm waiting in a throng of people wearing masks, kind of socially distanced, waiting for my Chick-fil-A tonight. And I end up having a conversation with a guy that I see in the crowd that I know, and we get to talking, and it dawns on me, he's a guest.
Yeah.
Like, he's a potential guest. So I was like, he started talking about some of the lessons that he's learned as he's listened to our podcast. And I was like, what are you doing in 2 months? Like, let's get you on the program. It would be wonderful for him to be able to share his story. We're surrounded by him. And I think that the town does provide us that opportunity to give us a shout out. Hey, I know a guy. Hey, I know a lady. You might want to make that connection.
Yeah. And I think, we've spent time over the last several months just talking about the importance of kindness, the importance of compassion, and the importance of treating people right, and I think that it's been awesome to sort of celebrate people that are doing it the right way, from all walks of life. And shoot, every Thursday night when we do our recording, episodes drop on Monday, but Thursday nights are a night for me after we turn off our cameras and everything. I'm left to my own devices and just thinking about the episode. There's a ton of thoughts that run through my mind of things that I need to do to be better. And that's exciting. I mean, that's an exciting opportunity,
Can we talk a little bit about that? I've been thinking about something that Russ Hill mentioned, learning versus scars. And you talk about that Thursday night in the afterwards and kind of sitting in our own thoughts. And I have the same thing as I'm listening to the guests in some of the production work that we do as we're getting the show ready for airing on Monday. And, we have an opportunity to listen to those things a couple of times.
Yeah.
And it is so true, though, that lessons come out. My concern is that myself, other people, we may be letting those lessons kind of fall by the wayside with no action on our part. And that gets into that. Russ made that point that organizations and people, they're either learning or they're just going through life and picking up scars, meaning they're having hard experiences, but they're not learning the experiences that come, or they're not learning the lessons that come out of those hard experiences. And I really think that, man, we've had some guests that are just master teachers, sharing their experiences, but I don't want to be guilty of not making the changes that I need to make. Right.
Yeah. I mean, that's hard because it's, you and I think we've talked about this off the air, but we have so many pages of notes for every guest, and it's hard to sort of distill that down to 2 or 3 different action items. But I think that there's what it does is it provides us a ton of opportunity to seize on a few things. So here's what I've been doing, Mike. Another shout out to Monk Manual, right? That I've been using. I've been writing these things down in sort of my own personal action list. I carry them over from month to month, and I just try to pick one thing that I'm working on, right? And as I've done some work on those things, I kind of shift that over to something new. And the idea, my thought is, if I can get some sort of momentum in progression, right? That's what I want. So I'm not saying I'm mastering something in 30 days, but I'm saying I'm making headway, and hopefully I'm incorporating. I spend enough time doing it that it becomes part of my daily habits, And the reality is, there's so many lessons that come out of the episodes. We talk about the Anglebrights, and the things that they taught us. And I think that we have to understand that we don't have to experience the exact thing. We don't have to march down the same road, but man, we can take a piece of what they're doing and say, hey, how can I communicate better with my spouse? Or how can I be more compassionate? Or how can I find the good that's around me, even in the middle of the scorched earth where their house was at, right? So I think that, yeah, it can be overwhelming, but I love the opportunity that it gives us.
Well, I think that this is a great practical conversation. We do this every once in a while. So we have 4 or 5 weeks where we'll have a guest, and then we try to kind of circle the wagons and check in with one another and see what's moving in us, and what are we learning from this university of life that we're in. But I love the idea of, having a practical conversation of what this might look like, because I think everyone's got different styles, but I think that the key is that you find a style that does work for you.
Yeah. There's no right way to do it, right?
Right, but I think that, like, on my system, I've got a Post-it that's my day marker, right? That marks the page in my journal, and on that Post-it, I do something similar. On my Sunday reflections, I'm like, what kind of person do I want to be this week? And I write those things down, and I'm trying to go after what does that look like on a given. So, like today, right? Today, I was trying to be present, be authentic, right? Like Gary Miller.
Yeah.
I wanted to be vulnerable, like Aaron and Melissa Engelbright. I want to be bold. I want to be compassionate. I want to be enthusiastic. I want to be humble.
Yeah.
So those are some of the values, and that really kind of gets into that. It's just epithets that you want said about you when you're done.
Yeah. Right.
And one day we'll be done.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we're human beings. We're not doers. We're not human doings.
Right.
Right. And so it's really easy to fill your page with things that are tasks that need to be done. But it's really important also that we focus on being. And that presence is where we get the promptings.
Yeah.
As we're inwardly kind of still.
Yeah.
Those promptings come up.
No, I like that a lot. I think, the idea of a checklist of things to do, right, it's sort of unavoidable maybe in the world that we live in. But I think that we've got to be able to look at that list of to-dos and that list of to-bes and really balance those things out, right? I mean, there's things that we have to get done. We got to go to work. We got to pay the bills. We got to make sure the family's healthy and happy, and right. We got to fulfill our church assignments if we have those, right? So there's all kinds of things that we have to do. But if we're avoiding that list of things we have to be, then we're out of balance. We're not going to be doing the things the way they should be done if we're avoiding the things that we should be. So,
well, and I think you on the recent talk, we've had some conversations about routine, and I think that came up in the town as well. But like the idea, if on your list, the list of to-dos, like you said, is unavoidable, but at the top of those lists are things that we need to do to get right.
Yeah.
Right. To get right internally, and to just be right, to be ready to be guided that day, whether that's prayer, meditation, pondering, whatever that spiritual life aspect looks like, maybe spending some time, studying the scriptures and just tuning in.
Yeah.
Otherwise we're a wreck.
Yeah.
We leave the house without those things, then force shields are down, and we're subject to kind of just running from task to task without that overarching purpose. And so I think that's a big deal. And I really want to encourage people to wrestle with these things, right? And have these conversations with wives, with friends, because trying to be better, you're swimming upstream.
Yeah. And I think, it's interesting because I've had these conversations with my youngest child, who's 11 years old. What do you want to work on? What can you do to be better? And I think that it's something that we need to get into it needs to be a mindset, right? I mean, we talked with Gary Miller about being a seeker of truth. And I think that, wanting to become a better version of ourselves is in that same vein, right? It's being a seeker of truth, someone that's looking for ways to improve and find ways to be closer to their family, to God, just to be connected.
I want to just qualify this a little bit, because I think that, again, there's that gap, right, of who we are and who we want to be. And sometimes that gap can be intimidating, but it's like you were saying, picking the one thing. It's like that snowball, right? Start small, rolling down the mountain, gathering that momentum and developing into a habit. And I think like today, my effort on a jump rope was horrendous, but I want to be a finisher.
Yeah.
And so that you got to start somewhere.
Yeah.
And then as you start and you show up every day for 31 straight days, then something magical might be happening at the end of that 31 days. And that's really what life is. You want to be a better husband, do a little something today.
Yeah, right.
Don't do the dinner and the flowers and just do a little something today, a little act of service, just letting the person know that you're thinking about them, and maybe you see where that goes. So anyway, I mean, you talk about these things, right? You talk about these little things, and it really is like that snowball. You start small, you do these little things, and over time it becomes something big. Like today was pretty awful on the jumping of the rope. I hate that rope day one, right? But the thinking is, as we do these things over time, the task doesn't change. Our ability to do the task, our capacity increases, and so it is with life, right? So I think that the purpose of our work with our guests, the purpose of the work of the conversations that we're having either here on the podcast or in other forums now, is about being intentional and every day committing to do the work.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
We see something, we're not okay with it, we're gonna aggressively attack it.
Yeah, I love it, man. I mean, I think that's the whole point of what we're doing, and we certainly don't want to let our guests' words not be as impactful as they can and should be, right? And I think that's kind of the purpose of the group that we've put together for the town, is that we can continue to have those conversations throughout the week, throughout the months. We don't have to wait for the next guest, right? Those conversations should be ongoing. I mean, we talked about this a while ago, just accountability and that idea of holding each other and ourselves to a standard. And I hope that that's what that group does, is that we can when we're surrounding ourselves with people that are on the same path and want to be, that have the same goals in mind. Yeah, man, we push each other. When I see your post about jumping rope for 31 days, it sure makes me want to get off my rear end and do something, so those are good conversations.
Well, and I think that the world is a challenging place, right? Grace Freeman is getting ready to go out into the world and the tough streets of Philadelphia or wherever she's called to serve. And she's had some experiences where, she's starting to realize that adults have adult problems.
Yeah.
And as a 19-year-old kid, she's had some problems, but she's about to be sitting down on people's couches talking about people with marital problems. Right. Talking to some people that might be down on her hope. And, we had a pretty frank and candid conversation the other night where she came out and was just like, who am I?
Yeah.
Right. Who am I to be able to address these questions of the soul?
Yeah. That's a great conversation, man. That's really,
think about that. Yeah. Right. You think about that. And I don't know. I don't know what I'm doing as a dad in this role, but the conversation was you empathize and you scale, right? And you say, I don't know necessarily what you're going through, but when I go through hard times, this is what works.
Yeah.
And I think really that's what it is. I think somewhere in the Engelbright episode, you say something like, and pay it forward. Be transparent and vulnerable. And when we see people that are going through things, we can't just say, oh yeah, sucks to be going through that. I know what that's like. Right. And when we see people going through big things that maybe we can't relate to, we can step into that space with the experiences that we have had, much like David and Goliath, right? Where David steps up and is like, yeah, I've had some experience with a bear. I got this.
Yeah.
Right. The Lord delivered me from this. He's going to deliver me from he delivered me from that prior experience, and we're going to trust him moving forward. And I think that sometimes we can relate to people even when it seems unrelatable.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. That's an interesting conversation to have. I mean, at 19 years old, that's sort of realizing how small you are in the world. It's a humbling thing. But I think too, we've talked about this too, but we don't have to have the answers, right? You don't have to have the answers, and you don't have to have a speech ready. Who was it that we were talking to? Oh gosh, and Bishop Underwood, Troy Blanchard, right? And the bishop saw Troy in the hallway and said, "Man, you don't look good." And Troy said, "I'm not." And all he did was put his arm around him, right? There was no big speech. There was nothing else right then and there. It was just put his arm around him. And sometimes that's just the answer, just to show someone that, hey, I don't know where you're at, but I'm willing to walk with you in it, and that's pretty powerful stuff.
But I think it is about, Mike Freeman is all about the last book you read, right? But like Ryan Holiday, stillness is the key. As we are internally still, we'll have that fleeting thought that comes across our brain. Hey, so-and-so, and you pick up the phone and you just text that guy and be like, hey, just thought of you. You all right?
Yeah.
Checking in. And miraculous things happen from those exchanges.
Yeah.
And when it does hit and it's heavy, be the hug.
Yeah, right.
How many of our guests on this podcast have come in and said, that hug saved my life?
Yeah.
Or a hug, right? I just needed a hug and there was no one there to, I'm thinking of Dan Funk.
Yeah.
Just come and give me a hug, man. Throw your arm around me. Let me know it's going to be okay.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think that's the more powerful thing, right? That we just show someone that we're willing to be by their side. We may not have the answer for them, but we love them and we're willing to trudge along with them.
Okay. Can we change subject a little bit?
Yeah, let's go.
Michael Hyatt and Company comes out with the life assessment. I throw it out there on the town.
Yeah.
You crush it with a score of like 88 out of 100.
I thought it was a high B. I was like, no, that's.
I'm coming in with a 65, brother. A 65. And I'm thinking, okay, I might have a tendency to be hard on myself, but I got work. I got work to do. So Michael Hyatt and company has come up with an assessment. It's in the town. You can check it out. We can put the link in these show notes, but based quick assessment where you're at in your life across 10 platforms, right?
Right.
Across 10 domains. And I just thought, man, I got some stuff, right? I got some stuff. And, I mentioned a while back that 12 months, that list.
Yeah.
That list actually resonated with where I was low.
Did it really?
Yeah. You start looking at the things that I had on that list. For those of you who are wondering what the heck I'm talking about, I had some time, hypothetical situation. Doctor calls, says you have 12 months to live. What are you going to do with that 12 months? And it was things like be a better friend.
Yeah.
Like it was things like golfing with the boys, fishing with Abe, right?
Yeah.
So those are the things that matter. There's no price tag on that stuff.
Yeah, that's hard stuff, man.
It's just a matter of like, and I'm this tempted. It's super vulnerable, right? But I'm this tempted to actually drop that list on the town and give it an assignment and be like, what you got?
Hey, I like that idea. I mean, I think that self-assessment is important. I mean, hopefully we're all doing that on a regular basis, but shoot, man, maybe, you say you're hard on yourself. Maybe I'm just self-aggrandizing, I just walked out of there. I'm like, yeah, dude, I'm freaking amazing.
Hey, well, financial was out of debt, including mortgage.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
So if folks are giving themselves a high score on those assessments, I just want to make sure people are reading the fine print there, making sure that.
Man, that was a good exercise.
And it's not one of those Facebook quizzes. Like that's that's not like, who are you smarter than Albert Einstein? Take this IQ test. It's not like that, right? But I've actually incorporated too, Monk Journal. I owe you a nickel because I stole your check-in, but like your thumbs up and your thumbs down and your trending.
Yeah.
I've actually incorporated that into my Moleskine and into my notebook. So I think one of these episodes, we just got to break it down and be like, what does your spirit journal look like? Right. Your spirit journal of choice.
Dude, the spirit journal it's a legendary piece of equipment. I mean, that it takes me a minute to remember when that came about, but that was years and years and years ago.
Yeah,
that's pretty amazing.
It's pretty spot on, though. It's pretty spot on. I need to actually get better at the journal aspect of it.
Yeah, I'm not
in providing that check-in or that check-out at the end of the day, but actually journaling and kind of eliminating some of the noise that's in your head, because it helps you objectify things, looking at things almost like from the outside as you write it down.
Yeah, that's been
distance a little bit.
Yeah, that's been the interesting thing of the monk manual for me, is that in the morning when I get to my office and there's no one else in the office, I spend some time going through that, just kind of looking at my day and making some notes about what I'm thinking about. And then in the evening when I get home, I pull that thing out of my bag and then reflect on how the day went. And it forces me, right, to write down those things that I was grateful for, write down the things that I felt like I made progress in, and write down the things that I fell short in,
So do you have that established as a habit, or is that hit and miss right now?
It's been hit and miss, but I've been pretty regular at it. I've done it more than I haven't since I started at the beginning of the month. I think I started at the very end of February. So,
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, the book itself is a 90 days. So I'm committed to doing 90 and seeing what it looks like at the end of 90.
Okay.
Yeah.
because I have these check-in, check-out questions that I've come up with.
Okay.
I've included them in my notebook, but they're only good if you crack the notebook open.
Yeah.
And so I get in the habit now of kind of been asking these questions, but I'm not writing the answers down. I'm thinking about them as I go through it. Questions like, so check in the morning would be, what's moving in me?
Right.
How can I apply what I'm reading to my life?
Yeah.
And the value of a book is great, but if we're not applying the things that we're reading, including scripture, right?
Yeah.
Who needs my help today? Who's going through known struggles right now, and how can I help them?
Yeah. It's kind of funny, man, because I think so. I taught seminary for a couple of years, and I'll be honest. There's probably a lack of knowledge that was dispersed in those 2 years, right? But one of the things I would always tell the kids when I was teaching that was, hey, we want to be selfish. This is a selfish time now, right? We're looking at these things, and we're just going to tune everything out, and we're going to make everything about you, right? Everything that we read, it's about you, and figure out where's that fit, right? Where does that fit with what you're doing right now? Because you're right. If we just read it and set it aside to say, hey, I read that book, which I've read many books for that.
So
right?
You can talk about it, right? Or sound cool.
Yeah. Yeah. And I've read many books for that reason. Like I've read it. So when someone brings it up, I go, oh yeah, I've read that book. But when we start to internalize it and say, hey, where does this fit for me? That's when it becomes powerful. Right. So look, I joke about this podcast being a selfish venture. I'm encouraging the youth of today to be selfish as well.
Well, and self matters, right? Self-care is not selfish. It's not a luxury that, we can't afford. We can't afford not to.
Right.
But it's about being awake. And I think this whole podcast is about that. But so other questions, what am I excited about? That's kind of one of our questions, right? Mm-hmm. How's my hope? What are obstacles that I can attack?
Yeah.
Like that one. How can I make an impact today? What does success look and feel like today? Like smell it, see it. Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
What small steps can I take today to move great things forward? Am I about to do what I was born to do?
Now, that's an interesting question because that's a moving target, right? You got to define that thing pretty good. I think that's
Steve Jobs, right? That's Rajiv's episode, Connect the Dots.
Yeah.
Like finding that purpose. So many people we have the opportunity to talk to on this program are literally doing the thing that they were born to do.
Well, it's interesting because Steve Jobs says, and I'm going to totally paraphrase and butcher this like crazy, right? But he basically, in an interview, he said that if we're passionate about something, right, we don't have to worry about physically getting up and moving that forward because the vision that we have of that thing will pull us along with it, right? So I think that's the key, right? We got to find that thing that fires us up. But to be honest, right, we have to be realistic as well. I mean, a lot of us are probably working in jobs that you're not super fired up about, right? You know what I mean? You're going and you're stocking shelves at Target and you see yourself as something else. I mean, that's it's hard to match those things up,
Well, and I think that could even get into like understanding our role as parents and spouse, right?
Yeah, I think
like am I about to do what I was born to do? Like, or is the thing that matters most, not even going to get my attention today?
Well, and here's the interesting thing. I was talking to someone years ago who was at a crossroads, okay? And they were talking about making some very dramatic life changes, okay? And they had a family, some kids, the whole thing. And they said to me, I deserve a big life. And they decided to make some changes that led them away from their family, right? And it's interesting. How do we define what a big life is? You know, was the big life the paycheck? Was the big life the career? Was the big life at home with the kids, enjoying that season? You know, I think that it's, we can define things a lot of different ways. And I think sometimes it's easy to get caught up in the definition that the world would give us,
Yeah. When understanding those trade-offs,
right?
Every decision we make has that trade-off, right? It has that other side of the coin. Are we looking at both sides of the coin and going into the decisions that we're making with eyes wide open? How about this one? Who can I help grow today and how? Yes, Shooter from Hoosiers, right? The idea is like, who can we take with us and how can we help them grow? How about this one? What am I missing, not seeing, or not understanding? What am I missing?
Yeah.
Right. And then what am I procrastinating on? And what can I do about that today? That leadership or that growth opportunity is that thing that you're avoiding.
Yeah. Yeah. Those are some great questions.
That's the check-in. The idea, anyways, not every question, not every morning. Again, disclaimer, I'm not on this, right? We're working on this.
Yeah.
I'm not ready to give a seminar on this tomorrow, but the idea is that there's some intentionality about how we start our day.
I think you need to post those to the town as well.
And yeah, we can throw that out there. Well, I'd be curious too. We talked about the start of the day. I would love to hear how people shut it down, because that's where I'm a wreck. Right?
Yeah.
That checking in and then checking out at the end of the day. I mean, I've got the questions, but I don't even crack the notebook open a lot of nights.
Yeah, that's been the change for me with, again, I'm going to go back to my our sponsor, the Monk Manual.
Where are they at? Let's go. They need to get on this thing.
They need to get on there. But yeah, it's kind of forced me to do the morning and then the evening reflect on the day. So,
well, it sounds like the tool is doing its job.
Well, yeah, and I'll be honest, it's a struggle to do the job, because there's not, you get home and you've gone through everything that you've gone through, helping the kids, helping around the house, doing all these other things, right? And then a lot of nights, the last thing I want to do is sit down and open up that book.
Mm-hmm.
But, I tell myself I can do anything for 90 days. That's what I'm telling myself.
Well, and I tell myself, run the program.
Yeah.
Right. If you've identified a routine and you can just run the program and automate these things, then you don't have to make the decision every time, am I going to work out? You don't have to make the decision every time, am I going to, am I going to get on my knees and am I going to say a prayer to start the day? It's just like, you know what, let's run this. Let's run this program. This is good for you. Let's go.
We'll go back to Alan Michael Boston, right? And his, he talked about, when in doubt, lean into the process, right? Turn harder into the process and trust it even more, even though he talks about not seeing the results immediately, but just continue to go back to that process until you start to see the fruits of it. And that's hard to do, honestly. You've been running and you're like, and I'm like, man, I should be like 160 all muscle right now. Like that's should be happening. And then I get done with the run. I come in and I'm like, what do we have that's sweet in this house? I need candy. So
it is ironic. It is ironic on the sweet tooth thing.
Yeah.
A little bit of irony that I kind of had a breakthrough and saw a number that I hadn't seen on the scale the other day.
Yeah.
And boom, Bake Bear shows up in the mail.
Oh, dude.
It's like the universe is conspiring against you, right?
And you're not going to, you got to eat when the Baked Bear shows up on the doorstep, you got to do work, man.
Yeah. And I shout out to the Girl Scouts of America. I don't know if that's what they're called, or Girl Scouts, but I put off cookies for how long? How long has it been cookie season? And I have like stiff armed. No, not going to happen. Not going to happen. My neighbor is like the czar of cookies, right?
Oh, that's dangerous.
They're dropping stuff on my doorknob. They're dropping stuff on the windshield of my car. Like, where you at? We usually get your support. Where you at?
So
right?
Is this an intentional avoidance of the?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. In an effort, right? In an effort. Because I got that code, right? No Slurpees. I haven't had a Slurpee since like the Trump administration, right?
Yeah, it's been a good 50 days. I think it's been.
No seconds, no snacks, right? So these are hit and miss. Like sometimes I'm on it and I kill it. Sometimes I'm not. I've done the math. I've got 6 pillars. If I'm 4 out of 6 pillars, the number on the scale is lower the next day.
See, this is what I'm talking about, Mike. You are a man of lists and a man. I mean, and I admire this about you. You are a man of lists. You put it down on paper, you write it out, you've thought it out.
Gotta do it, because here's the rest of the story. Right? Saturday, family's out and about. Moment of weakness. Girl Scout cookie conversation comes up. Saturday night, text my contact. Boom.
Your contact, dude.
Delivered brown paper bag on my doorstep with everything from Samoas. They're not called Samoas anymore. I don't know. Thin Mints, you name it. It was all there. So went way backwards. So you can have a plan, but when Mike Freeman gets punched in his mouth, plan's off, man. I fall apart. You know, you have an influence on people, Tyler Gould. I don't know if people share that with you, but I'm sharing it with you. I was this close the other day to participating in almond milk.
I'm a believer, dude. Dude, it's good.
And I don't know, intentionally or unintentionally.
Yeah,
I haven't had milk since we talked about your non-dairy experience.
I haven't had dairy for, I don't know, man, 60 days, maybe.
So a great example of a little thing, right? Little things that you've actually made you made some changes. And I actually got on the bench press because of you the other day.
Nice, dude. I like it.
Yeah, I got in. So every morning I've incorporated some weights. Again, something that I suck at. So,
well, you know what? We're not 20 years old anymore, you know, and it's a very apparent, unfortunately. But listen, man, it's been fun tonight, you know.
Yeah, it's good to check in. It's good to eyeball to eyeball, see how you're doing with things and what life's teaching you.
Yeah, and I would just say, you know, to our listeners again, I mean, go to our website, richestmenintown.com. Click on the link to join the town. We'd love to have you be a part of that. There's been some powerful discussions already in the short time that we've been doing that. And don't hesitate to reach out to us through our email, our contact on our website. And we'd love to hear your thoughts about the show. We'd love to hear who you think would be a good candidate for the richest men in town. And we'd just love to hear from you. I mean, at the end of the day, this project has been about building a community. And we haven't had a chance to see everybody face to face, but we feel you. And we appreciate the support.
We do want to put out, another call to action. We have had a few folks jump on Apple Podcasts and rate and review. So if you're a fan of the program, you can do that. Looking ahead, we've got some exciting things. There is a newsletter in the work. There's also some YouTube. There's some YouTube stuff that's going to be coming out with some of the video content from our episodes. So exciting stuff.
Yeah, there's lots of good stuff happening. So let's just keep this train moving forward, and we'll be back next week with a great guest. And it's been fun, Mike. I always look forward to Thursday night, and I look forward to next week with our guest.
Yeah, good to catch up, and let's do it again next week.
Sounds good, man.
to my big brother George, the richest man in town.